So our focus on this class is to work through the mathematical functions and formulas. All right. To do that, we're going to work through a company together. We're going to create a company. I'll call it my son's name, Emerald Clothing Line. All right. So I've always thought of creating a clothing line for Emerald. All right. So we're going to do this together. We're starting the business together. Let's go. All right. So Emerald Clothing Line has the following data that has been given to us. Okay. So let's say for the whole year, these are the amount of sales that was made. All right. So we've got sales for January, we've got February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. And these are the number of units that was made per the month. All right, let's say in 2023. In 2023, these were the sales that were made through Emerald Clothing Line. All right, so then further detail is given, the selling price per unit. So every unit that we have here, the selling price is 15 Rand. Should we make it 15? It won't make sense. Let's make it rather 150. All right, so we're going to change this figure. Instead of saying it's 15 Rand, we're going to make it 150. Okay. And then, so every unit will cost us 150 per unit. And then we go on the other side, our gross profit margin. So we've got a straight gross profit margin. We are using perpetual inventory system. And with perpetual inventory system, we know the cost of sales, gross profit or the markup percentage already. Now, please take note, our gross profit percentage is based on cost of sales. So as written here, it's based on cost of sales, meaning, all right, meaning my cost of sale being a base is the 100%, gross profit being 45, selling price would be 145. So we're adding together. All right, this is very important. Make sure you understand what we mean here. So when the cost of sales or when the gross profit percentage or the markup percentage is based on cost of sales, it means cost of sales is the 100%. That's the base. All right. So when you do your calculation, basing it on cost of sales. If the gross profit percentage were to be based on sales, like your gross profit margin based on sales, it means the sales percentage becomes 100%. All right. So please take note of that. It's very important when you're working through such kind of questions. Right. Let's get into it. Right. And then we have our VAT percentage being 15%, as we know. The South African VAT percentage is increased to 15%. All right, so this is the figures that we're going to work on. As you can see, my table is very, very empty. You can see my table is empty. Now, I should be able to now manipulate, work around formulas and mathematical function. For now, we're only focusing on mathematical functions. You'll see how we're going to build this business together and include every other functions that we spoke about in the previous class, the categories of functions. Please take note, I am dealing with the commonly used functions, all right? The basic or rather fundamental, foundational functions and formulas. So I'm not touching on advanced level, all right? So we are going to have class where we're going to touch on advanced functions, but this is for somebody who's just getting to understand, Excel and you know, for the first time. So we're going to teach you little by little. Okay, so we eat piece by piece. Let's get into it. So we're going to build this together. Right. I want to, first of all, I want to understand how much will my sales price be. Right. This sales price is excluding that. Okay. So just to make it, to be sure that we all see, this is excluding that. All right, so we're still there. We've got my sales unit and I've got my price per unit, so I can apply a formula that will actually give me what I want. So we all know that to start up a formula, you always start with an equal sign, equals to, I want to take the unit, so I'm taking the unit and I want to multiply this by the price per unit. The price per unit, as we know, is 150. But this is standard. Remember, I want to copy this formula, all right? It's going to be standard. I don't want the 150 Rand to change. So if you check the previous recordings when we gave you rules on Excel, we spoke about this, relative copying, relative reference, and absolute reference. Right, here I need to apply absolute reference, so I need to lock the 150 with a dollar sign. So I go to it, right? It's there, it's M4. I'm going to apply, but I put a dollar sign in front of the letter and in front of the number. I'm applying a dollar sign. The 150 must not change when I copy. So this is absolute reference. Right, so I'm done. I put enter and you can see it gives me the total, right? So, and then I'm going to drag this down. I can double click and it gives me I don't want it to go all the way there. I want it to end here. All right. Or alternatively, I could have just done it this way. I could have just drag it down, hold it until I get here. Awesome. Okay, so that is my sales excluding VAT. So my total sales for the year, before I get to the total sales for the year, per month, this is how much I made. How do I know that? Because I've already been given that every single product that I made, or rather single clothing that I make, it's 150 per item, and I've got the unit, so I'm able to multiply and then just drag it down. Okay, now please check our formulas. If you check at the top here, you see it's C4 multiplied by M4. M4, I want it locked. So if you go to the second one, the C has changed to C5 and is now M4. And then this change to C6 is still M4. This changes to C7 is still M4. Why? Because I have locked the sale. Right, that is absolute reference or absolute copying that we spoke about in the previous class. All right, please do go and watch it. Okay, what else can I do? Cost of sales. Now when I understand my cost of sales, how do I get my cost of sales? Remember, I've got my sales excluding that. I've got my unit sold, so I can work on this. What can I use? I can use the gross profit percentage that you're looking at here. 45% is the gross profit percentage. So how do I do this? I am going to say, I'm going to apply a formula. So I'm going to say equals to, I want to calculate my cost of sales. Right, we do understand we did this. Remember what we did here? Remember this? All right, so I don't want to apply, I don't want to use it in my formula. Anyways, I'm going to change this. I don't want to use it in my formula. I was just showing you guys. Equals to, I've got my sales excluding VAT. We're still working with excluding VAT. VAT has not come in yet. I've got my sales, all right? I want to calculate my cost of sales. So my sales, as you can see, is the 145. And then my cost of sales is 100 and whatnot. I'm going to work with decimal. So I'm going to change everything to decimal. All right. I want to calculate cost of sales. So I'm going to say, I'm going to take this amount, the sales, I'm going to divide this by, right? What am I? Alternatively, you can multiply or you can divide, whatever the case is. Okay. Anyways, let's do this first. Before we do this formula, I want to just show you something. So what do I want to do? There are two things that I want to do. All right. So I want to get my selling price. Okay. So I want to get my cost of sales. So I'll take my selling price. I'll multiply this. Let's do this in mathematics first. I'll multiply this by what I'm looking for is the 100%. Divide by what do I have is the 145. What do I have? I have the selling price. That's the figure. That's what I have. What I'm looking for is the cost of sales. So it's 100 multiplied by 100 over 145. I just want to show it in mathematics. If I continue with this, I'm saying SP multiply by, right? If I change this to decimal, it's going to be multiplied by 1 divide by 1.45. Or alternatively, if I want to remove the 1, I can say this, I can open a bracket and just say I remove the 100 and I'm adding 45 to the 100, 0.45. 0.45 to the 100. So it can be 1.45 like we did. Right, this is me breaking it down. Okay. Now, I can break this further again. You know mathematics, I can break this further to say is SP multiply by SP multiply by, if I multiply by 1, it still remains what it is. So there's no need to multiply. I can just divide by, open bracket, 1 which represents the 100. Remember, I made it decimal, plus 0.45 which represents the 45. All right, this is where I want to go. This is where I want to go. All right, so that's how I would have done it in mathematics. So I want to do the same thing. So I've just found the formula to get my cost of sales. Now I'm going to go here. I'm going to say equals to, my selling price is sitting there, all right? Divide by, open brackets, and I'm sure you understand how we got here, right? Open bracket 1 plus, instead of saying 0.45, 0.45 is already in a sale, so I'm just going to use it. So I'm going to just select where 0.45 is. But now remember, I do not want this gross profit percentage to change. I'm using perpetual inventory system, and then we've got the markup of the gross profit percentage is fixed. Because it's fixed, I don't want it to change. Remember, when I copy it down, I don't want it to change. So I'm going to apply $sign in front of this. Just like I did when I was calculating the sales figure, I'm going to apply $sign in front of the M and the 6. Okay, so M6 is being locked because the 45% must remain like that. And then I close this. Right, I'm sure you understand where I got this figure from. Okay, and then once I'm done there, I'm going to press OK, enter. When I press enter, and then I'm going to bring this down. Right, and I want to show you something. You can see this one has figures, all right? It has 0.48, 0.38, 0.90, unlike this one. All right, there are two ways to do this. I want to show you how to apply the round formula, the round function. Remember, we've got round function, right? I'm going to show you how to apply round function. I'll show you another way to do this. Okay, first of all, let's start with the other one. Before I go to round, let's start with the other one. Another way to do this, I can use here at the top here, and I'm just going to do this. I use this one actually. This is when I'm increasing my decimals, and to decrease my decimal, I can just press on this side. It says decrease. See, this one says increase decimal. This is decrease decimal. I could just do this. I decrease until I remove all the decimal. Okay, right. So let's go back. I want to go back to what it was. Okay, fine. So that's another way of doing it. So you can remove the decimals from there at the top here. Alternatively, you can use the round formula. Okay, so I can come here to my formula and add round. So equals to, you always start with round. Whenever you're doing, even if you're doing two different formulas or functions, always start with round. So I'll come here and type round, and then I open brackets. So I want to round the whole formula, right? So that's why I'm leaving the formula as is. After everything, I'm going to say, comma, how many decimal places do I want behind? I don't want any decimal places, so I'm going to put 0 and I'm going to close. If you want 2 decimal places, you put 2. If you want 3, you put 3. The number, this is just the number of decimal places that you want after this. Okay, so I can round a particular value, or I can round a whole formula. All right, so here I'm rounding another formula that was already there. Then enter. You see now, all right, so you can see now there's nothing behind it says 0, 0. So it's no longer going to count the decimals that are supposed to be there, right? So if I double click, it goes now. But then I want it to look exactly like this. Okay, I want it to look exactly like this. I don't want you to see even 0.00 or whatever the case is. All right, so what I can do, I can select them all. I select them all and then just decrease the decimal. Okay, so it doesn't show decimal at all. All right, or if I want, remember we're dealing with money here. We're dealing with money, and the best to do in the situation like it's to have decimals. Okay, the best is to have decimals. I can even do both. I can select both this, and I'm going to bring in the and I check what's selected, the currency. All right, I selected currency from the top here, the number format. Already when you select currency, it gives it to the format. You see this is the format it gives you. When you select currency, it gives me my rand, or I could have even chosen if I change it to dollar or pound, or whatever the case is. I could do that in my settings. Right here, it's giving me rand, because that's the currency we use in South Africa. Okay, I can do that, and then I can use the round formula to give me the decimal places that I want. All right, I can apply that. All right, or I can increase the decimals, but now the round formula says 0, so it will not give me the values that I want. Okay, then so let's keep it like that. Let's keep it, or make it maybe 2. I can go and change it here. I can change these to 2. All right. Okay, and then it brings back this. I can even copy. No, let me not copy there. I'll copy it down. Right, it brings back my it brings back my decimals that I wanted. Right, I can do the same here as well. Put in the round as well, equals to round, open brackets. All of this formula, I'm rounding them, comma, to 2 decimal places, and close and enter. All right, I'm grounding them to 2 decimal places, and then I can bring this down. Okay, then we continue from there. All right, didn't have any decimals anyway, so we continue. The next one is to find the formula, the profit. Okay, what is the profit that I made? This one is very easy. I've got my selling price, I've got my cost of sales. To get my profit equals to sales minus cost of sales Simple as that, and enter. Very simple. Then I'll just drag this down, and then it will both be changing. This is relative copying. As you can see, it will be changing as we go. If you check here, we have D4, E4, and then D5, E5, D6, E6, and then D7, E7, D8, E8, just a change like that. This is relative copying, okay, or relative reference. All right, so at this point in time, things were just easy. I'm just flowing, right? Then we get to cost of sales, including VAT. Now VAT comes in. We were just being told our VAT percentage is 15. Let me just change the color so we can see. Let me use a brighter color. Yes. So my VAT percentage is 15%. That's my VAT. That's a fixed value, right? Remember? So I must apply absolute copying. So how do I get my cost of sales to include VAT? So I want to add VAT on top of it. I'm adding VAT on top of my cost of sales. The amount that I have already, I want to include VAT. I want to add VAT on top. So what do? I can say equals to, I take my cost of sales. This is my cost of sales sitting there, right? I multiply by, I want to add on top. So what I'll do is I open bracket, 1 plus, I'm adding on top of the 100, right? Plus, and then the 15%. This 15% is a fixed value, so I'm going to lock it with a dollar sign. So I lock it with the dollar sign and then close, so that when I copy it down, the VAT remains 15%. Enter. All right, the next thing, I'm just going to drag this down, and voila, there we have it. Okay, that's my cost of sales. All right, another thing is it looks like there's too much space. I can try and close this. I can go to the top, go to the top, click at the top here, and then you just bring it down a bit. Okay, so this is just organizing your data as well. Go to the top, just bring it down a bit because it seems like to be too open. Bring it down a bit, go there and bring it down, and that's it. Okay, it looks much more organized than it was. All right, then there we are. So I just calculated my cost of sales to include VAT. Oh, I didn't go up until here. Let me also just copy this. All right, fine. Then my VAT, I want to know what is the VAT amount. Right, so the VAT percentage we all know is 15%, the VAT amount. All right, there are different ways you can do this. Remember mathematics, there are different ways you can come out to find something. Right, the easiest is the difference between cost of sales excluding VAT. Please let me just add this here so that we can see the difference. This one is excluding VAT. All right, the other includes VAT. Okay, so my cost of sales excluding VAT and my cost of sales including VAT. That is the easiest way I can do this, right? The easiest way, I'm going to do the easiest way outside. So I can just say equals to cost of sales including VAT minus cost of sales excluding VAT. That will give me the value. So it's 19. Okay, watch this. So that's minus. It's easy. Alternatively, I can also just calculate 15% of the cost of sales excluding VAT. So in fact, 3 ways. Okay, let's do this. Equals to, I could say, I can use the excluding amount, which is the 100%, right? I can say this value multiply by 15%, which of course you're going to lock, but now I just want to show you that for you guys to see. I can say that multiply by 15% and then see, it gives me the same amount. Okay, or I can even use the cost of sales including VAT. So I can say equals to the amount that already includes VAT, all right? Now, I'm going to multiply this by 15 divided by 115. Now check how I do this in Excel. So it's going to be this multiply by the 15%, then divide by 115, but I'm going to separate them. So I'll say 1, which represents 100, plus the 15, which is already a cell. All right, then I close, then enter. Please check. This is how smart mathematics is. It's smart like that. Smart magic. All right, so that's math for you. 3 different ways to get one thing. All right, this is what we've always learned in mathematics. Now we have been able to experience it with Excel you've been able to experience it. So these are 3 different ways to get to one answer. All right, so you choose what works for you. You choose what is the best for you. I think I'm going to go with the using the cost of sales excluding VAT. So equals to cost of sales excluding VAT multiplied by 15%. Remember to lock it because I'm going to copy this down. So I apply a $sign. Sorry. What did I do to it now? Okay, let me just fix this. So I'm getting this, and then I'm going to lock this with a $sign in front of the letter and in front of the number. All right, awesome. Okay, so I'm simply taking the amount excluding VAT and I'm multiplying by VAT percentage and enter. Right, it gives me the value, and then I can bring this down. I can also just add round to it, just to put some spice. Round. I want to round this whole formula to 2 decimal places so it looks like a proper rand amount, because you have notes and cents. Okay, then away the enter. Right, so it's still we're gonna bring this down. Okay, I'll just increase. All right, so we have our decimals, they in two decimal places. And then the last one that we're going to do, not really the last, but the last column that we're going to work on is now having to calculate the sales including VAT. Okay, so we calculated the cost of sales including VAT. Now we can calculate the sales including VAT. So I'll use the sales amount excluding VAT to get the sales value including VAT. Right, simple like that. So what we'll do is we're going to say equals to, I want to include VAT, so I'm adding VAT on top of it, equals to the sales amount. I want to add VAT on top of it, so multiply by the sales in multiply by 100 plus. So multiply by 115, or I'm gonna 115, 100 represents by 1 plus the 15. Remember to lock it because this is a fixed value. I lock with a $sign, and then we close it. We close the bracket. We close the bracket. If you don't close the bracket, it won't give you the answer. It will give you an error. It will throw an error at you instead of giving you the answer. So just be careful. Enter. There we go. Again, I want this to have decimal places, 2 decimal places. I can also just apply a round to it. All right. First of all, let's just copy this down. Right, I can apply the round formula to it. I can add formulas to it, or I can just come here and select currency. All right, it brings it here, but it does not really give us the decimal unless if there's none. Okay, let's check. If you check the sales excluding VAT, there's no decimal, and here there's no decimal. It makes sense. There's no decimal. Right, so there we go. And then just to organize your table, we'll bring it down a bit. Okay, so I was able to use round. I was able to use different calculations formulas. All right, and then now I want to calculate the total. Guys, this is the easiest thing ever. This is when you use the sum formula. Please don't go there and be adding D1 plus D2 plus D3 plus D4 plus, as long as it is more than 2, as long as you have 3 and above, use the sum function instead of adding. All right, if you have only 2 figures and you're adding, then it's fine. But if you have 3 and above, please use the sum formula. Right, so I'm going to say equals to sum of open brackets, sum from the beginning, you see, from C4, and then I'm going to say, I'm going to put a colon up until I select the last figure. Colon means it's selecting everything that I need, and then enter. All right, simple like that. And then what I will do is I'm going to drag this across. Remember, we've been dragging down, now we drag across, and it's going to apply the formula throughout. Okay, it's applied the formula throughout, but these ones I want it to be in currency, so I'm going to select them. I go here at the top where it says general, click there, and then select currency. As you can see, it brought even the decimal places. Okay, so that's how we do it. That's how we use your mathematical function. There are more to it. Like I said, using this is the foundation, right? At least you need to understand this before you can tackle further formulas that falls within the mathematical function. All right, thank you so much for staying up until this long. Please remember to subscribe to our channel and like the video. Please comment, tell us what can we do better, and tell us what do you want us to do. All right, you can suggest the videos that we can do for you. Right, we are ready to go through this journey with you. Tell us how these classes have been helping you. Please do write to us. We also have our Facebook page. You can write to us as well. Remember to share the links with your friends, share the links with your colleagues, share the links all around with other students. Let them come and know what we are doing and know that we are helping people out here. And most importantly, subscribe and encourage them to subscribe. See you on the next video. Bye.